Greetings, everybody. This is Mr. David, and today I'm going to make a short video here about our science packet that you received in the last work pickup. And it kind of deals with the new topic that we would have been covering in class, which was the human body. This packet kind of goes through a lot of the main information that we will talk about. I'm going to kind of go through today a couple activities in here and give you a couple pointers on how to go about doing it, and then kind of tell you about where you want to be after week 1, week 2, and week 3, just so you kind of an idea how to tackle this, so you don't sit down and think, wow, I have to do this whole thing at once, because you don't. It's for 3 weeks. This is pretty much only about the human body. I will be attaching via the Google Classroom some links to videos. I'll also bring up some videos that you can look at in Discovery Ed that go with this, that kind of help out with teaching it too. But I wanted to go over kind of how to go about tackling this project right here and what to do with it and everything, because you might be a little confused looking at it. So I wanted to kind of cover that with you and talk about it. So the packet you'll want to find is the one you see on the screen in front of you. It says Organs of the Human Body. Put your name on top. Okay. And you'll see a picture of like Slim Goodbody type looking guy, if you know who that is. Your parents probably do. And on there you'll see all kinds of organs of the human body, and they've been all labeled for you. If you want to just practice kind of locating where they are. When I was younger, the best way I did it is I had one of these and I colored it. I just took time coloring things different colors, and it kind of, as I was coloring it, kind of stored in my brain what it was called and where it was. Kind of a funny way to do it. But really, there's nothing else to do on this page. This is just the cover, so you can identify it. All right, let's take a look inside, and there's a couple kinds of activities that are on there that I want to show you. So, the very first page has a label, the human body, and that would be after you're done. You could go ahead and just write those in there to practice writing them. I'm not going to cover that because that's pretty easy. I do want to talk about this page. That's the color by number cell. This has a picture of a cell, and we will take some time with some videos too looking at what a cell is. In 4th grade, we basically want to just start learning that our body has tons of different kinds of cells that, when they're combined in different ways, make different systems in our body. And as it says right up here, the cell is the building block of life. It is a basic structural, functional, and biological unit of all organisms. That's plants, they're plant cells, and animals have animal cells and different types of cells. On here, every cell has some parts that are common between all of them, and they're really big, sciencey words, for lack of a better term. Down here, it shows what they are. And if it has a number 1, you find the number 1 up on top on the cell. And then the arrow points to where that is. And then it tells you what it is. I'm just going to read these all for you because they're not words that you probably normally use in conversation. At least I've never heard them be used in conversation by 4th graders. Yeah, at lunch or anywhere like that. So here they are, and here's what you would do with them. So number 1 is mitochondrion, and you'd want to color that red. So you'd go up here into the cell, find the number 1. Look where the arrow is pointing to that little mass right there, and then you would color that red. Okay? And then below that is the vacuole, which is going to be colored green. The Golgi apparatus, which is colored orange. Nucleus, which is like the brain or the control center of the cell. You're going to color that purple. Ribosomes are pink. Cytoplasm is light blue. Cell membranes are yellow. And microvilli are light brown. Now, you probably don't know what many of those are other than the one I just said, and that's okay. This is kind of new stuff. Now, since we don't have a class sitting in the room where I would give each group maybe one of these to look up and then report to the class about, and we'd learn it all together, we're going to have to do this in a little different way. So after you color this up, you're going to go to the back of this page, and you're going to basically see a very similar drawing, except the details are a little sharper on this picture. And up here are some directions we kind of added to it that says, have an adult help you use a computer to research these parts of a cell. You might have a device at home and know how to search for this stuff, but you may want to talk to your parents if they have rules about you going on to Google. So you clear that up with your parents. That's something I can't do for you from here. Well, what you're going to do is go on to Google and you're going to look up these words. So how do you do that? Well, you bring up the Google page and in the search bar you type that word. The very first return that comes on that result should be a definition of that word. It'll be like a dictionary definition. So kind of put it in words that you're able to understand and write. Just copy that down here for each one of these. Okay? And that's going to kind of give you an idea of what each of these do. All right, so that's all there is to that page. I just wanted to go over it and kind of explain it. Now I want to get onto the main part of the packet. Okay? So the main part is you're going to notice that the rest of the packet is divided up into systems because our body is made up of a bunch of different systems. You want to do about 2 of these a week if you can. So in your packet, the first one is your skin and the second one is your bones. I'll just kind of flip this and you can kind of see it there. Your bones. So this page involves some reading. Just like we talked about in our literacy lesson, you might want to use a highlighter or a marker or something to mark important things that you learn because there's some questions that come afterwards where it's going to ask you some things like that. I'll show you a way to do that with your skin. We'll do some of that together. So you'd want to do probably your skin and bones in 1 week and then do the next 2 in the next week, the next 2, and you'll be in a good pace. And you may not get completely done, but you'll have mostly done what you need to know. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk about that today, and I would love to be in class because I have some cool models and pictures to show you and things, and I'll maybe try to combine that into a lesson next week, but we're going to just get some facts down and kind of show you how to do this, what we're kind of expecting here, what I'm expecting you to do. It may not be what the other fourth grade teachers exactly expect, but this is kind of what I want us to do in this activity. So, up here, we see the title, Your Skin, and it starts going through and it has headings. We did a practice reading like this with some things yesterday where it gave you a heading and you know what comes underneath it has to do with whatever the heading is here. And when they change their mind about something and they're going to write something new, see, that's where they have it. This has cool facts. It has neat things I like to show you. So you'll learn some really cool stuff by doing this. Now, after you're done reading this, there's a little activity to be sure that you comprehended what it was. Normally, I do that through discussion. I talk to you, ask questions, have you maybe draw a picture or something like that. I can't do that because we're not in class, so we're going to be using the paper on the back of this to kind of determine, did this make sense to you and did you get it, or do you need more help from Mr. David? Speaking of which, if you need help, remember, you can always go to the office hours. You can message me to set up something. We can email. We can correspond in some way. Be a little clunky, but I can help you with whatever you need on that. All right, so the first step to do this is to, of course, read it. So I'm going to read to you today for this part. I'm not going to read all of them to you, but I'm going to read this one to you. Now, if you have trouble reading some of this, you can ask an adult to help you. Or, here's another option. If you're reading and you don't have someone at home to help you who's an older person, an adult, or an older brother or sister or whatever, and you're having trouble reading it, let me know. I can always record a reading of this, me reading it, and send it to you. And that way you can listen to me read it to you if you need to. But I'm not going to make this video real long by reading everything, but I am going to read this one to show how to do it. So, the first section is your largest organ. What is the largest organ in your body? Your heart. It's the largest muscle in your body, but you do have larger organs. Your brain? Well, the brain inside your skull is pretty big, but not the biggest. How about the liver? It is the heaviest organ. How about your skin? Yes, your skin is an organ, just like your heart, brain, and liver. Since your skin covers your entire body, it is, in fact, your body's largest organ. Even though the skin comes in many different colors, all skin has a very important job to do. It acts as a covering for our entire body, which protects our organs and keeps out infections. Ooh, that's really important with what's going on in the world today, isn't it? Could you imagine what your body would look like without skin? It also regulates our body temperature and helps us perceive, or that means feel, pain, pressure, or touch. Layers of the skin. Ooh, I'm going to get my highlighter ready here. The human skin is made up of 3 layers. The epidermis is the part of the skin on the outside of your body. It's the part you can see. The dermis, that's where your blood vessels and nerves are at work. That's right underneath there. If you get a real deep scrape, sometimes you expose your epidermis, or your dermis, and it hurts because when air touches it, it's not used to that. And your hypodermis, mostly made of fat. This is where your hair grows from. Interesting. How thick is my skin? If you've ever had a cut on your skin, and I'm sure you all have, some of us go through 5, 6 Band-Aids a day, so I know we do. You know that it's not very thick at all. On average, your skin is only 1.5 millimeters thick. The thickest of the soles of our feet, and the thinnest is on our eyelids. Remember how to determine what a millimeter was for math? Well, that's when you look at one of your nails, like your thumbnail here. You can kind of see it in the picture, and you measure how thick it is from this part in, how thick it is when you're looking straight down on it, like on the end of it here. That's a millimeter. So your skin is just a little thicker than that in its thinnest spots. Okay, and that's actually the average. Your soles of your feet, especially if you're a person who walks around outside without shoes on, is pretty thick. But in some places, it's not that thick. So, kind of important to know. Is it alive? Well, here's something fun to try. Look down at your hands. What do you see? Anything unusual? Even though you can't see it, your skin is hard at work making new cells. It takes from 2 weeks to a month to make a new cell. When these cells are ready, they will work their way up to your epidermis, pushing old, dead ones to the surface. So when you look at your skin, you're actually seeing dead cells. In fact, our skin loses about 30 to 40,000 dead cells every minute. Yeah, we're dropping skin all over the place. We don't realize it. Sometimes you do know because you have like a dry patch of skin and you see it come off, but usually you don't see it. They're so small you can't tell. That's the reason like why a dog can smell and follow you so easily. You're dropping skin cells all over the place. Makes it pretty easy for them. Here's some skin-tastic facts. Frogs don't drink water. They absorb it through their skin. I did not know that. I just learned something. Polar bear's skin is black to absorb heat from the sun. For those of you who have done Not Too Cold for a Polar Bear, that book, that is one of the level books for testing for your levels, you knew that because that's in there. In fact, I was thinking about this picture right up here. It actually looks almost like that picture from that story. And if you did that story, for some of you it was a while ago, some of you it was recently, you might remember that. Besides humans, pigs are the only other animal that can get sunburned skin. Wow, I did not know that either. That's pretty cool. Ostrich skin makes the strongest leather. Some humans and animals have no melanin, an enzyme that produces color in their skin. It makes them completely white. We would call that being albino in our terms that we see. So I didn't highlight very much. I went through it and I saw things that were interesting, but I'm going to go back and just highlight a couple of things now that I'm done that I thought, yeah, I can see where they might ask about that. I was thinking right here, this paragraph, or it's not really a paragraph, it's a sentence, talks about perceiving things. I think that's kind of important. And the fact that most of our skin is dead, I thought that was interesting too. So when you look at your skin, you're actually seeing dead cells. And I'm going to highlight these numbers. And then the other thing I thought that was important when I was reading that I remembered was the thickness because we spent some time talking about that. So I'm going to highlight those things. You might have highlighted something else and found that more interesting, but that's what Mr. David thought might be interesting to do. Now let's turn the page. And I'm going to show you how to do the other part. Now on the other part, it talks about your skin, and it goes through starting to talk about some things that we just read about, and I want to know, did you hear that? Did it make sense? This is where you're going to need your pencil, by the way. It says, what's your body's heaviest organ? Oh, I remember that. I remember reading it back there. I know the answer, but do you? If you don't, go back and look. Because it mentioned in the beginning a bunch of these organs and said, is it your heaviest? What is it? And I remember very specifically reading that. So I'm going to go back to that real quick. And you can if you need to. Or you can just look on with me. Right here. What is the largest organ in your body? Your heart. It's the largest muscle, but you have large organs. Your brain. The brain is pretty big, but it's not the biggest. How about the liver? It is the heaviest. Right here. It tells us the liver is the heaviest. So, there's our answer. That's called a right there question. You can go right back and find the information right listed. Makes it very easy. And in our tests we've talked about, that's the easiest type. So, the liver. So we just circle that. Your skin is about as thick as, well, we talked about my thumbnail there. And what's pretty close to that? Notebook? No. A pancake? At least not the pancakes we make at my house. No way. A dime? Yeah, that's pretty close. A plate? No. I would say a dime. Okay. How does your skin help keep your body healthy? Well, the whole function of the skin, we said, was to cover our body and give it a covering. So it helps keep out germs. And with what's going on in the world right now, this is kind of an important function of our skin. It keeps out germs and infections. Because when they talk about a way that an infection can be spread, they always say keep your hands away from your eyes, your nose. You know, those are holes, those are gaps in your skin or your mouth where things can get inside your body. The rest of your body is pretty well covered by skin, but not those areas. So that kind of goes right along with what's going on in the world. That's pretty relevant. When you look at someone, which layer of the skin can you see? Well, remember there were the layers. I highlighted them. There was the dermis, there was the epidermis, and they talked about the epidermis being the outer layer of the skin. So I happen to know, because I actually remembered, I didn't even need to look back for that one. It's the epidermis. Which layer does your hair grow from? Ooh, I remember seeing that, but I don't remember exactly which one it was. So let's flip back and have a look. Okay. Blood vessels and nerves are at work in the dermis. Mostly made of fat. Your hair grows from the hypodermis. Okay. So let's go back and write that on there because that's what they're asking. Hypodermis. There we go. And then the other one was the dermis. There it is. Okay, we just saw all those. Okay. Then it says, what is the enzyme in skin that gives it its color? Ooh, I remember that being in the end of it. Because they were talking about not people that didn't have any color in their skin. Remember that we talked about it. It was right in the end here. Yeah, here we go. Some humans and animals have no melanin, an enzyme that produces color in their skin. There it is, melanin. See, when we read and we just think about it, there it is, melanin, M-A-L-N-I-N. All right. So let's write that there, melanin. Okay, there we go. And the final question says, how does a polar bear's skin help it survive in the Arctic? Now, I told you you would have some background knowledge with that, but it talked about being black because it absorbs heat. So we should write that down. That it is black and absorbs heat. Why is that important? Well, it is very cold in the Arctic. I think that kind of is self-explanatory now that we wrote it. So that is the way you would do the questions on the page. That took me, well, I'm looking at my timer here, about 5 minutes to do, not very long. Might take you a little longer because you may not be used to that, but as you get better at the skill of highlighting, thinking, going back and looking in the text, it's only a page long, you should be able to find that stuff pretty quick. So you should have, if you did this with me, you've got one of them done already. I'm not going to do the next one, but I'm just going to show it to you. It's called Your Bones. So we read about the bones here, and then we go on into the next page, then it'll talk about your bones, and there's some questions that go with it. If you're really cruising, you want to go on and do your muscles, you can. Depends how much time you have. But if you do 2 a day, 2 or 3 a day, you'll be absolutely fine. You'll get through most of the important information. I probably won't make another video like this for science. I may just post some things for you to watch unless somebody requests me, like they need to read something or sound something out. I'd be glad to help with that. But this is a kind of just a idea of what to do with your science packet for the next few weeks. Hope that's helpful, and I hope you got it all set and kind of figured out there. But if you have questions, please let me know. All right, everybody, till later. This is Mr. David signing off.